when I was trying to get my high schoolers ready for the AIR assessment, I tried to walk them through kind of a 5-step process for improving a piece of writing so that they could at least take what they started with and revise. Sorry to make you dizzy as well. So I'm going to take you through those same 5 steps, and I hope that they're pathed in order. Sorry about that. Okay, I'll just start this one. So the first thing is write in paragraphs. I had already talked with you about not really having that tab option and using left justify. If you're using Google Docs, you have a tab and you can indent properly. Paragraphs and prompt lead-in. So make sure that when you break down your work as you're moving through it, that each main idea or group of ideas does have its own set of text. Now that sounds simple, but a lot of people, when they go to write for their AIR EOC, are just so desperate to get it done that they don't do that. And that's the very base of the organizational score as far as the computer's looking for the relationship of the ideas between each of those paragraphs. Also, paragraphs use the prompt as a lead-in at the very base. Talk about in that introduction what it is that you're supposed to be focusing on, what it is that you're supposed to be writing about. Reread through the prompt, put it in your own words, because those are some of the keywords that the computer's looking for as far as, do you know what you're supposed to be writing about? Are you sure? Oh, and then make sure you have space between those paragraphs too. That's what that blue is supposed to represent. Secondly, we talked about balance. So if you look at all the bold here, pulling quotes, length, length, length. That doesn't mean dominate. Make sure you have the balance between the two. But if you want to get a 6, 7, an 8, or a 9, you are going to have to write more content. Make sure that if something is word for word, that you're putting it in quotation marks. This is the proper MLA method for citation. It is fine to use the paragraph number for those citations, which you will get paragraph numbers. If it's a poem, you would use the line number of whatever line or lines of the poem. You don't put PG or PP for paragraph. If you were using a quote that was in 2 paragraphs, let's just say it crossed over into the next, you could use 5-6 as well. But again, no spaces between them. So length, length, length. If you would like to trim, like you want to use part of a quote, but the rest of it kind of talks about something you're not focused on, you can use these 3 dots and ellipses to indicate that that is all you wanted. Those were even in the samples too, so that you're kind of showing this is where I've left off. There were other things there, but I did not include them as well. Another thing you can do is this idea of power words. So I have a list of power words that are simply just verbs. Most of them mean show. But instead of just talking about this is why lying is bad for you, you do need to get some intellectual distance from it to say, this is what the article presents. This is what the author conveys. This is what the ideas in the article represented. This is what the author indicates or the evidence depicts. That academic distance and the language of the academic distance really makes your writing professional. It makes it almost publishable. It gives it the academic tone that is being looked for. And it also raises your vocabulary score because you will get scanned for the amount of words and the variety of words that you used as well. And these are power words, are all great words to be able to use in your writing. So you can see here, taking that distance, instead of saying in the story, lying is bad, the text indicates that lying is harmful. The author Gunderson explains that. And, you know, I like students to look at this list and choose words that they know, because a lot of times you know these words, you just have to have the practice in using them as well. And there's plenty of power words to go around. Easy transitions. There are lists, like I said, lots of lists of transitions you can use early in the text, later in the text, towards the end of the text. Really, if you're low on content, that can help flesh out a little bit to make sure that twice in each paragraph that you're kind of leading into the paragraph, that you're referencing back to the quote as evidenced by the author, and then also just order transitions, the beginning, later on in the article, in the 6th paragraph as well. So here we see early in the text, later, towards the end of the text. And those are just basics, but definitely having that baseline is better than, not having anything at all. Well, I'll be back with you. Let's see what this one is. I think this is the finished version of how adding in the power words, the distance, the transitions, and the quotes can take you from a piece of writing that looks like this, which is still about the prompt, and fleshed out with those steps can be built into something like this. Thank you. Have a good day.